Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Lal, and we are going to begin with our misdemeanor calendar for we're going to begin with our misdemeanor calendar for today, December 4th, 2024. This is the expedited accusation cases involving individuals who were recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail. After being booked in, their cases were formally accused by the Solicitor General of Fulton County. Hence, this would be the defendant's initial appearance before a judicial officer. When I call your case, I will let you know what's your new case number, what are the charges brought against you, to appoint counsel for you if necessary, and to set a bond. Some of you may also receive a new court date, and Miss
Bridgewater.
Miss Bridgewater, there you are. Okay, I'm sorry. See your faces here. What's the court date, Miss Bridgewater?
It's December the 17th.
Okay. In the event that you receive a bond in which you will not be able to secure release, then your next court date will be December 17th at 9 a.m. And that will also be a Zoom proceeding. So those who plan to attend would need to get a Zoom link for the next court date. If you're a defendant charged with one or more misdemeanor offenses, you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you choose to say during the course of this virtual proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. Please note that this virtual Zoom proceeding is not only being recorded, but also live streamed. So exercise your right to remain silent and wait till your attorney is free to speak with you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. All right. The individuals who are either a alleged victim or a witness or a family member, make sure that your video and your audio are switched off at the present time. And you may start your video and audio when the defendant whom you want to address is back on screen. Okay, courtroom 2. Should we go with ACDC first, or shall I start with courtroom 2?
We can go with ACDC first.
All right, thank you. Francois, or I don't know, I think it was Deputy Francois at ACDC. I think I saw someone step aside. All right, courtroom 2, I'll take the first case until the deputy. Francois or Milton, I can start with ACDC first.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. We can start with Ms. Stroder.
Okay, thank you. All right, if you hear a name call, please come forward in front of the computer. All right. This is position 15, State versus Normandy Stroder, S-T-R-O-T-E-R, case number 24CR7940E. Ms. Stroder is accused of theft by shoplifting from November 23rd, 2024. And I understand she's got 12 cycles. What was her recent arrest in DeKalb for?
5 counts of shoplifting.
All right, thank you. Ms. Allen, what's the recommendation?
Your Honor, this is an incident from November the 23rd. Investigators at Target Loss Prevention, the target location at 2539 Piedmont Road Northeast, investigated the theft that this individual committed. It was captured on video. She was going through self-checkout and did not scan multiple items that she then left the store with. She's known to loss prevention and Target in multiple jurisdictions, including Dunwoody, which is where that last arrest was from. She took $195.29 worth of merchandise or household items from Target at that time. We're asking for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor, to stay away from the Target at 2539 Piedmont Road Northeast, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. She does have a prior shoplifting conviction, and it looks like at least one open shoplifting, perhaps two. She also has theft history out of Minnesota, but at this point today, I don't have enough to be able to transfer this as a felony.
Okay,
There's a substantial history, Your Honor. Thank you.
thank you. Mr. McLean? Oh, I'm sorry. Is it Mr. Murphy or Mr. McLean? I'm not sure.
It'll be me, Your Honor.
So,
Yeah,
go ahead.
despite the arrest history, we would ask the court to consider a signature bond, and if a signature bond is not in the offing, then we would ask the court to consider as low a bond as possible, given that history. She's been local for quite some time, and like to do a social worker visit to get on top of this. Thank you.
Bond's going to be set at $1,000 as a surety bond to stay away from the Target store at 2539 Piedmont Road and to stay away from all Target stores. Her next court date is going to be December 17. Thank you.
Petition 7, Ms. Pouncey.
This is State versus Deja Pouncey, case number 24CR 007937D. Ms. Pouncey, this appears to, well, first of all, you've been advised of your rights. Your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean, and this appears to be your first arrest. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 misdemeanor offenses stemming from a traffic incident. 2 counts of hit and run, failure of the driver to return to the scene of the accident, improper and erratic lane change, driving on a suspended, cancel, or revoked registration, no automobile insurance, failure to obey traffic signs or control devices, driving on the wrong side of the road, reckless driving, and failure to yield right of way to vehicle. Ms. Mokeke, good afternoon. What's the recommendation?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is a signature bond, no further contact with Felicia Hall and Benjamin Harrison, no driving and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. To put the facts briefly on the record, the defendant is accused of striking a Kia Soul belonging to Felicia Hall and failing to stop at the scene of the accident. Ms. Hall then began to follow the defendant and pulled up to her car to let the defendant know that she had indeed hit her vehicle. The defendant denied hitting Ms. Hall's vehicle and then proceeded to speed off in an erratic manner. She then hits Benjamin Harrison while he is crossing Edgewood Avenue on his scooter. Mr. Harrison is thrown into the air, bounces off the hood, and lands on the ground. The defendant does not stop. She continues to speed away. Ms. Hall then stops following the defendant and pulls over to assist Mr. Harrison. Officers used FUSUS, F-U-S-U-S, cameras to track and observe the defendant commit the numerous traffic violations that were listed as she tries to flee from the 2 hit-and-run incidents. It was also determined that the vehicle the defendant was driving did not have any insurance and the registration was suspended. Officers did make contact with the defendant and her mother via phone, and they said the defendant never hit anyone, said the damage to the vehicle was because the defendant was fleeing from people who were chasing her for no reason, and then the party stopped responding to the officers' phone calls.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, it's my understanding that Ms. Pouncey is represented by private counsel. I spoke with her as well as her mother around an hour ago, and they stated that they had secured private counsel for her. I'm not sure who her attorney was, though. Mr. Martin, I believe.
Is there private counsel for Ms. Pouncey? No, no one's appeared. So, Ms. Wills, would you like to confer with her, or I have no idea. Ms. Bridgewater, do you have any indication that private counsel has been retained?
Ms. Champion, have you heard from anyone? I wouldn't know yet. I'm sorry.
All right. Ms. Wills, do you want an opportunity to confer with her?
Yes, I'll go ahead and speak with her.
All right. I know the state's recommending a signature bond, but I'm not inclined to do so. So
Okay.
I think you would need to speak with her.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'll take another case in Deputy Milton. Ms. Pouncey will need to
No,
speak.
this is,
Oh,
good afternoon, Judge Law.
Hey, Francois, Pouncey will need to speak to Ms. Wills because there is no attorney who's appeared. Does she
So
have?
she had already spoke to Ms. Wills. I just came back.
Oh, she didn't speak to Ms. Wills because it was represented that she had private counsel, so they never finished their discussion.
Okay. All right, go ahead and sit back there.
Ms. Wills, do you want to give Debbie Francois your phone number? Maybe she can have you call from that location.
Yeah, I have it. Thank you, Judge.
All right. So I'm going to go to courtroom 2, get back to ACDC. Courtroom 2, who's your first case?
We'll go position number 11, Ms. Robinson.
I represent Mr. Robinson.
All right, let's do that first, Ms. Wills, and you can speak to Ms. Ponce later. Maybe Martin will appear by then, who knows? This is Miss Robinson, I think is position number 11. Shadisha Robinson, accused of battery, family violence from December 3rd, 2024. Case number 24 CR 7942F. Ms. Robinson, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Wills. And I understand this is a first arrest cycle. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred yesterday, the 3rd of December, in the evening after about 7:20 p.m. at 426 Peachtree Hills Circle, apartment 426. Police were called, and it's reported that the defendant struck her live-in boyfriend, Mr. Graves, Eric Graves, with a cheese grater in his head. His 2 children were present, but it's unclear whether or not they heard the altercation. He received scratches on his ear. We've been in touch with him today. I think he's joined us on the Zoom. He reports that they're in a relationship and she stays with him from time to time. They have no children between the 2 of them. The defendant was yelling at his son as he was there at the location. He told his children to go to their rooms. When he turned around, the defendant punched him in the face. And then took the cheese grater and struck him in the face, causing these injuries. He's requesting no contact. We'd ask for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial, Your Honor. No contact with Mr. Graves. Stay away from wherever he may live or work. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. She may need a one-time escort. Thank you.
Mr. Eric Graves, if you're on Zoom, this would be an opportunity to unmute and start your video. Mr. Eric Graves. All right, Mr. McLean, any objection to the stay away and the no contact?
No, Your Honor, she has a place to stay with a friend, and that would be fine.
All right, bond is set at 2,500, so signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. She is to have no further contact with Eric Graves and to stay away from the incident location. She's allowed a one-time visit with a police officer to retrieve her personal belongings. Within 30 days of being released from this jail, she will update the court with her new mailing address, and she will enroll in a domestic violence intervention program, and to complete all 26 weeks at her expense. She'll need to show proof to the pretrial officer that she's enrolled and attending those classes along with the ultimate certificate. Next court date will be sent to her new mailing address. Thank you. We're going to move to ACDC. I have Mr. Ricky Richardson representing Denetra Dawson. I'm trying to figure out, position number 1.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I'm sorry, this is courtroom 2. On her 3 card, it has position number 11. It has 3 charges of the same thing.
Who is this?
This is Ms. Robinson, position number 11.
Position number 11.
Your Honor, it does not matter what's on the 3 card. What counts is the final calendar.
Well, no, just a minute. So Shadisha Robinson actually has only got 1 charge, battery, family violence. Ms. Allen, did you NOD the other 2 charges?
I did, Your Honor. The warrants are exactly the same, identical, with no real information that would distinguish them. So I dismissed 2 of them.
All right, Deputy Prosecutor should have put a NOD on those 2 other charges?
I did.
All right.
Thank
Okay.
He knows that.
Okay. This is State versus Denitra Dawson, accused of harassing communications from October 17th, 2024, under accusation number 24 CR 7927J. Ms. Dawson, as well as the ladies who were just brought in, please remember this is a misdemeanor criminal calendar in which you all have been accused of misdemeanor offense or offenses. Please remember you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say during the course of these proceedings, any allegations or statements or facts about your case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Presently, Ms. Dawson is represented by Mr. Richardson, and I understand she's got 7 cycles, including 1 open felony case. Anything else to add, Mr. Howard?
On probation, impersonate another in the course of an action, proceeding, or prosecution.
Thank you.
2016 reckless conduct, simple battery DV conviction. That's it.
Okay. Ms. Mokeke?
Yes, Your Honor. The victim in this case is Adriana Smith. The defendant is accused of harassing the victim by calling her and threatening to get her lights cut off, talking about the victim's children and posting about said children on social media, and also posting the victim's address, social security number, and date of birth on her Instagram. The victim did show officers screenshots of the defendant's social media posts. It appears that the victim's boyfriend is residing in an apartment that is in the defendant's boyfriend's name. This might be a subleasing situation, and the defendant does not like that. The victim has also taken a TPO out against the defendant, but has not been able to serve her. I believe that number is 24 CV 013537. Our office has spoken with Ms. Smith, who states her and the defendant have had problems on and off for the past 16 years. She states the defendant is upset because she was staying at the apartment that the defendant's boyfriend got her boyfriend. She did confirm the events in the warrant. She stated that she does not want any contact with the defendant. She would like the defendant to stay away from her residence, which is 3042 Middleton Road, Northwest in Atlanta, and also stay away from her boyfriend's residence, which is 1634 Hollywood Road. The state's recommendation, given the defendant's history and the fact that she has an open aggravated assault, is a $1,500 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, stay away from the victim's residence and the victim's boyfriend's residence, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. I would ask the court to sound for Adriana Smith.
Right, Adriana Smith? If you want to chime in, this is your moment to. Mr. Arrington,
Hey, how you doing? I'm trying.
Yeah, Mr. Arrington, I'll be right with you. I just need to finish this case.
Hey, how you doing?
You need to have your video on.
Okay, I'm trying.
I'm not sure who's,
I'm here.
okay, hang on. Who is, I'm sorry, is it Mr. Jordan or who is the host of this Zoom?
Ms. Champion, Your Honor.
Ms. Champion, could you tell Ms. Wills to stop talking with Ms. Ponce? Her attorney, Marvin Arrington, is on Zoom.
I'm back, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. And who represents Mr. Richardson? Yes, sorry. Mr. Adrian Smith. Is the video on now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Smith, lower your device. All right. And just pick it up and bring it in front of your face. All right. Raise your right hand. Other right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right. What would you like to tell us?
Well, this young lady, she have a history of harassing people. Everybody say this.
Has she contacted your boyfriend?
Yeah, she's talking to his other baby mom while he's incarcerated, having her to three-way her, calling, telling him to keep her name out his mouth, just harassing people, just not ongoing, just won't stop. She just got in trouble yesterday at Target harassing someone. That's how they found out that she had a warrant from me. The young lady who she harassed is coming back down there to get an open case on her. This
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Richardson, anything to add?
Judge, Ms. Dawson is a lifelong resident of the Metro Atlanta area. She has 6 children, works for a major transportation company. There is substantial information that I will use to mitigate. I guess I'll speak to Ms. McConkey. At some point, Judge would ask the court to set a signature on. She works for MARTA. She has 6 children. She doesn't receive any assistance. She is married to Mr. Brooks, who leased an apartment and loaned it to a friend when the friend got out of jail because he had no place to stay. The friend allowed the girlfriend to stay there. The rent has been late. They were trying to acquire a home. It's messing up their credit. The boyfriend asked the other, he never leased the apartment to the young lady, but to the guy. It's just kind of turned into a mess. We'd ask the court to set a signature bond of $2,000. Like I said, she has 6 children ranging from age 13 down to about 6. I know her entire family. I know her mother, Sinitra, her brothers. She's not going anywhere. She certainly will abide by the terms of stay away. I believe if there is a TPO, if she does violate it, then it will end up in an aggravated stalking charge. She'll meet me at the office on tomorrow if the court postpones, and we'll go over the details of that, and we'll appear at the TPO hearing, I guess, whenever she's served.
Has she been served yet?
She has not that I'm aware of, Judge.
No, Your Honor, she hasn't been served. It looks like they're having issues serving her.
She lives at the same address, but if they want to serve my office or serve me, or we'll accept service now, we'll address the judge because there's information.
Mr. Richardson, your client is very eager to say something, so we'll need to unmute ACBC.
I would advise.
Go ahead,
I
Mr.
just want to say that it was dismissed.
Go ahead, Mr. Richardson, if you want to tell us something.
According to her, Judge, I don't have any way to verify that. The TPO was dismissed, but that's just what she said now. Otherwise, I would advise her until we had a chance to speak, not to say anything else, Judge.
All right. And is there a Mr. Brooks on Zoom?
Mr. Brooks is not available right now, Judge. Tied into this case, he was arrested and charged with some type of harassment as well. So I have to address that on next week.
Okay, thank you. This particular bond is going to be $2,000. It's a surety bond. Next court date is going to be December 17th. No further contact with Adrian Smith, to stay away from where Miss Smith lives, to not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner, and to also make sure that she stays away from the entire complex where Adrian Smith lives. If Miss Smith is apparently a tenant of hers, and if she shows up in any dispossessory case, she has to make sure she lets the judge know that there is a no contact against Miss Denitra Dawson. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and firearms. Next court date is December 17th. If she does make bond, make sure her address is current with the court.
We should still appear on December 17th if she postponed?
You won't have to. We will just send you, and that's just technically a Thea Raymond calendar.
Callback date just in case. Okay.
All right, thank you. Ms. Dawson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. If you choose to say anything about the facts of your case, your statements can and will be used against you. Would you like to exercise your right to remain silent?
Yeah.
Or you still want to say
No,
something?
I just want you them to tell Miss Smith not to contact me because she's been contacting me.
Ms. Dawson, I do not have a protective order or a case against Miss Adrian Smith. So the order is against you. If she attempts to communicate with you, you have the right to simply shut off the phone or close the door. But you are the one who cannot initiate any kind of contact or communication with her. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Concludes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
APDC, we have Ms. Deja Pouncey.
Yes, Judge Dawson for position number 1, that was 2,000 good bond, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Deja Ponce, we've already told you the charges brought against you, the 9 misdemeanor charges. Your case number is 24 CR 007-937D. Your attorney is Mr. Marvin Arrington. The state has recommended a signature bond. The court is not inclined to do so. Anything to add, Mr. Arrington?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Pouncey is a lifelong resident of Clayton County. I've spoken with her mother and her father. She is currently a student at Georgia State University, a senior, and she graduated. She's been a member of the Honor Society in school from 8th grade to today. She's currently a biology major, studying to be a doctor. This is her first time being having any police interaction, Your Honor, and so we would hope that the court would consider a signature bond, at least for some of the charges. I guess I was only aware of 2 hit and run charges. I'm unaware of the other 7 charges, but
2 hit and runs involving one hitting a motorbike with a cyclist being thrown from the vehicle. Second is erratic lane change, driving on a suspended registration, no automobile insurance, failure to obey traffic control devices, driving on the wrong side of the road, reckless driving, and failure to yield right of way.
again, Your Honor, do not believe that she has any misdemeanor nor felony convictions, and so we would ask the court for a reasonable bond for this first-time offender.
Okay, her total bond is going to be at $9,000. That's going to be $1,000 on each count. On the no insurance and the reckless driving, that's going to be a good bond. The remainder of the $7,000 is going to be a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. She's to report to pretrial once a month. No driving unless she has a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and correct and proper registration for the vehicle being operated. The next court date is going to be December 17th. Unless she makes bond, then she'll need to maintain a current address with the court and make sure that she does not consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms. Thank you.
Your
Thank you, Your
Honor,
Honor.
Your Honor, will you go over those bond amounts again? I
Sure.
know,
Every count is $1,000.
okay,
No insurance is $1,000 surety or good bond. Reckless driving is $1,000 surety or good bond. The remainder will be $7,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1.
thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt. We requested no contact with the victims in the case for Mrs. Pouncey, excuse me.
All right. Who were the victims?
Felicia Hall and Benjamin Harrison.
All right. Felicia Hall and Benjamin Harris. Okay. You sure you want no contact in case they're filing insurance claims and have to deal with her?
No contact unless it's through attorneys and it relates to matters such as a civil case, if there would be one. Yeah, that's fine, but
I'll amend it to no violent contact.
thank you.
Okay. Courtroom 2, who do we have?
We have position number 12, Ms. Chantel.
Okay. This is State versus, let me get her right name. April Chantel, 24 CR 7932B, accused of willful obstruction and misdemeanor possession of marijuana from December 2nd of this year. Ms. Chantel, you've been advised of your rights. Your attorney is Mr. McLean. And 32 arrest cycles. Anything else to add?
Yeah, she got a battery disorderly conduct, terrorist threats out of Brunswick, 2023 probation, 2023 battery no-low, couple of 2020 probations, 2019 simple battery obstruction conviction, 2018 and 19 probation, and a 2014 disorderly conduct conviction.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from the 2nd of December at about 11:30 in the morning in Fairburn at 5892 Fairburn Road, which is a boat ramp. Game wardens were patrolling and they saw the defendant in her vehicle there parked on the boat ramp. They explained to her that she needed to be there fishing or hunting, not just parking. She called 911 as she was sitting in her car and told dispatch that the game wardens were there and trying to run her off. South Fulton police also responded to assist. She was asked to step out of her vehicle and she refused. It smelled like marijuana. There were obvious marijuana cigarettes or blunts they're called blunts in the documents here on the console between her seat where she was sitting in the passenger seat. She refused to provide her identification. We're asking for $1,000 surety, Your Honor. I would note that the last 2 probation violations she's had for her felony out of Glenn County require mental health services to continue through Gateway, require women's residential treatment programming, and she was banished from the hospital. So there's an MH component here. We would just request the order include continue with any treatment she's currently on and stay medication compliant. Thank you.
Mr. McLean, your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor. My 33.
I was just going to say on the willful obstruction, that's going to be 1,000, and the marijuana is 100. The total is 1,100 signature bond through the jail. To stay away from the boat ramp in Fairburn, Georgia. No alcohol and no illegal drugs. FYI, marijuana is still an illegal drug in the state of Georgia. So if you want to smoke them, go to a state where it's legal, and it's not Georgia.
Right. Your Honor, I might mention too, her last name is actually Moran.
April Chantel Moran?
Yes.
Okay. We'll make a note that she's also known as April Chantel Moran. Ms. Moran, this is an active open case with you in Fulton County. Don't forget to appear when summoned. You'll need to make sure we have a correct address on you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Position number 3, Isaac.
Thank you. This is State versus Lakira Isaac, 24 CR 7929C, accused of simple battery from February 12th, 2024. Ms. Isaac, you've been advised of your rights and your attorney is going to be Ms. Wills. Okay. Oh, I didn't write down how many priors. Mr. Howard?
3rd, 2019 reckless conduct conviction. 2018 simple battery DV dismissed.
Okay, thank you. Ms. McKay?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened at Kipsway Academy. I have that location as 350 Temple Street Northwest in Atlanta. The victim in this case is Sissy Moore, who works as a security guard and was patrolling and conducting traffic. The defendant is accused of slapping the victim in the face after the victim the defendant is accused of slapping the victim in the face after the victim told the defendant she could not park her vehicle in a certain area. The assault was witnessed by an individual named Devin Watkins, and it was also caught on video. It appears the defendant was banned from the school. In the victim states she was transferred to another school to finish out the year. The victim spoke with our office and confirmed the events in the warrant, also confirmed that she has been relocated to another site and no longer works at the school. The state's recommendation is for a signature bond, no further contact with the victim, Sissy Moore, that she undergo some anger awareness, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Mr. McLean, excuse me, Ms. Wills, this is going to be a $1,500 signature bond through the jail. No contact with Sissy Moore, no illegal drugs, alcohol, and weapons. And her next court date will be sent to her current mailing address. She's required to maintain a good address with the court. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm sorry, Judge. Can you please repeat the bond?
1,500 signature bond through the jail.
Thank you.
And what position was that? I'm sorry.
3. Courtroom 2, who do we have?
We have add-on number 2, Ms. Weber.
That's my case, Judge.
All right, Ms. Murphy. This is Jalene Weber, accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property. family violence from December 3rd, 2024, case 24 CR 7946G. Ms. Weber has been advised of her rights. Her attorney is Mr. Dennis Murphy. And how many priors, Mr. Howard, if any?
3. Hold on for a minute. Yeah, 3. 2022 FTA, 2021 simple battery DV dismissed.
And the FTA was from the DB case, or?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident is from December the 3rd at between 9 and 11 a.m. at 3300 Tree Ridge Parkway in Alpharetta. The defendant used a large rock to smash and break the driver's side window of her ex-husband's vehicle. His name is Vincent Macombi, Makambi. When we spoke with him today, he reported that his current girlfriend was in the vehicle with him. Let's see, we'd asked for $1,000 SOB through pretrial, no contact, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and stay away from Mr. Macombi, please.
All right. Mr. McLean, any objection with the stay away and the no contact?
No, none, Judge.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Murphy, excuse me.
Yeah, none, Judge. My client indicated actually Mr. McCombie is her estranged husband, and she's filing to get a divorce. But we'll agree to the stipulations to stay away and no further contact. Judge, I would ask that it be considered no further violent contact because my client has custody of the 2 children. There may be some visitation that needs to be facilitated.
Understood. Bond is set at 2,000, so signature bond through pretrial services. No further contact with Vincent Macombi, and to stay away from wherever he lives, wherever he works, and wherever he's physically located. And that includes also staying away from all his personal property, including his vehicle. There can be third-party transfer of the children. So in other words, Ms. Weber and Mr. Macombi must be able to exercise their parenting, a parenting plan, and that any visitation shall be handled through a third party. Mr. Macombi can pick up and drop off the children through a third party, and Ms. Weber cannot communicate directly with Mr. Macombi discussing any issue, including the children. Understood?
You would sound for him. I believe he's on the Zoom.
He is? Okay. Mr. Macombi,
Yes, ma'am.
did you want to contribute to the proceedings? Then you'll need to start your video. All right. Did you want to say something?
No.
No? Okay. Switch off your video and mute your screen. Thank you. All right.
Was that through pretrial or through the?
Pretrial. 2,000 signature bond to pretrial, level 1.
Judge, we've noted that. I'm going to reach out to my client's family so they're aware of the visitation issues and how. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, sir. ACDC, who do we have?
Number 20, Williams.
This is State versus Bricia Williams, accused of battery, family violence from December 3rd, 2024. Her accusation is 24 CR 7944B. Ms. Williams, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. This is a first arrest cycle. Any, Ms. Allen, what's the recommendation?
Your Honor, the recommendation from the state is a $2,000 SOB through pretrial, no contact with the victim in this case. Her name is Ebony Droke. This is an incident that occurred while the victim and the defendant were breaking up. They had been living together at the location 1140 Spring Street, number 823. The defendant is the leaseholder. Mrs. Droke, the victim, was coming to the location with her key to move her things out, get her belongings. As she was leaving the residence to take things to her car and planning on returning to continue to move out, the defendant demanded the key fob from her. not really being respectful of the fact that the victim still had things she had to continue to move. We spoke to the victim today. She reports that during the time she was there trying to move out, the victim struck her in the face twice, then demanded the key fob back, tried to snatch it from her. They tussled between each other over that key, and the defendant actually shoved her into the elevator where she struck her again. The victim was seen to have swelling and a black eye to her face. She reports she would like no contact. She says that this is not the first time police have been involved, but the first time the defendant has been arrested. She does not need to return to the residence, Your Honor, so we'd ask for no contact and we'd ask for some anger management.
All right.
And if you'd sound for Mrs. Droke in case she's joined us.
All right, Ms. Brooke, if you want to contribute to the proceedings, you will have to start your video and unmute your Zoom panel. All right, Mr. And that was the signature bond, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, this is the defendant's first arrest.
Mr. McLean, I'm going to set a bond at 1,500. It's going to be a signature bond for pretrial services, level 1. 1-day anger awareness program, no contact with Ebony Droke, D-R-O-K-E, no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Ms. Williams, this is an active criminal case against you. You're required to maintain a current mailing address with the courts, comply with the conditions of the bond, and make sure you show up in court when summoned. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, we have position number 2, Mr. Dixon.
State versus Marquez Dixon, accused of battery, family violence from December 3rd of this year, 24 CR 7928G. Mr. Dixon, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean.
Mr. Murphy,
Oh,
I have the brother, and Mr. Murphy has his brother.
I see. Okay. So, your lawyer is going to be Dennis Murphy. Did Mr. Murphy leave the Zoom? Maybe Mr. Dennis Murphy? All right, let's address the other brother. What position number was that?
Your Honor, that's position number 16. Mr. Stroud is the co-defendant in dual arrest.
All right.
Here it is. Yes.
Okay. State versus Taquavia Stroud, accused of battery, family violence involving Mr. Dixon, and his accusations 24 CR 7939H. I believe this is his second arrest cycle. What was the first, Mr. Howard?
October ag assault against police on Marta.
Okay. Ms. Allen, what's your recommendation for Mr. Stroud?
Your Honor, the recommendation is a $2,000 cash bond, no contact with the victim, no contact with mom. Her name is Keisha Hester, that's Cankesha. Last name Hester. Stay away from 1773 McClelland Avenue, apartment 2. The defendant was just released on bond October the 28th. He has an open aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer and was in possession of a firearm when he was arrested. He's got a 14.
Sorry, Miss Allen, I couldn't hear you. The other person had. All right, go ahead, Miss Allen, go ahead.
So his open case, 24 PI 007904. He was just released on bond October the 28th. It's a $14,500 good bond.
Mm-hmm.
He's charged with an aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer who is in possession of a firearm in that case.
Okay, thank you.
In this case, Your Honor, the documents state that the defendant in front of you and his girlfriend were being told they needed to leave the residence by mom, Mrs. Hester. The defendant in front of you began arguing with his mother. This woke up the younger brother, Mr. Dixon. Mr. Dixon came out and stood between his mother and the defendant, his older brother, who outweighs him by a significant amount. At which point the defendant in front of you tried to physically move his brother out of the way, and they ended up striking each other. The mom was present, as well as Mr. Stroud's girlfriend, but neither of them would tell police who they thought had struck first. The state's just concerned about continued violence, Your Honor, and the fact that this defendant is now in violation of a bond in a felony case. So we're asking for a $2,000 cash bond. That's the reason why. Thank you.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, I can, I don't, not able to address the recent arrest, but I can address the education and the jobs.
Okay.
He is already got his associate's degree, so he's gone 2 years past high school, and he's working on his 4-year degree to get a BA in accounting. So he's working on his bachelor's. Works at Papa John's, the one on State Street, and I believe that's 10th or 14th, the one that Shaq has. And he's a manager there of food safety and other issues. Before that, he worked at the McDonald's, was the grill manager for 4 years, and part-time off and on till now. From 2022, he has worked also a security job. He's 23 years old, has a stable address, which may change, of course, and in Georgia all his life. The court has heard the police report. We would ask the court to consider as low a bond as possible, including a signature bond if that is possible. But if not, then something like a $1,000 or $2,000 surety bond. Thank you.
I have a Zoom user, a young lady with a hat who appeared. Is that Miss Hester?
Yeah, this is me. I was trying to see, can I talk?
Yes, but you're upside down. Did you put that device right in front of your face? No, just pick up the thing and put it right in front of your face.
It's like that, but it's sideways.
I know, so turn it around. Now you're, oh, good Lord, I feel like I'm on a roller coaster ride. Okay. Then take off your hat in the courtroom. Yeah. All right. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Do y'all have another device?
I can't hear you. What you say?
Have another device going on, another device playing.
Well, I don't know. Somebody else probably be muted, but mine is this the only device we have.
What's your name, please?
My name is Kenkisha Hester,
And
the mom of.
And what would you like?
I'm the mom. Only thing I would like to say is for both of my kids, for Taquavia Stroud, I didn't never say that I was mad by the video. So when the officer did come here, I let them know. Only thing I was wanting to escort it out was his girlfriend. He was just aggressive at the time, and because they was arguing and fighting for a whole week. But my son is allowed to be at my address till he gets somewhere to stay. But I advise him to get anger management. And the other charge with the murder charge, all this open cases. So I knew that was gonna be a problem for him too. But that right there, we trying to fight too, because that's not right with the charges that he have. But my quest Dixon, he is very innocent. He do not do nothing. Like he don't like confusion. He don't like argument. Yesterday was my birthday, and we was getting up to let the young lady to go home because they was arguing in the middle of the night. So that's where the problem started. And then Taquavia Stroud turned on us because we was letting the young lady to leave. That's how it started.
Okay, thank you, Esther. Thank you, your screen. All right, mute your screen, please. Okay. Mr. McLean and Mr. Allen, on Taquavia Stroud, the bond's going to be set at $7,500. It's going to be a surety bond. I'm not sure what's going to happen to his bond in this felony case, but presently he's to have no further contact with Marquez Dixon and with Miss Kenisha Hester. He's to stay away from 1773 McClellan Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia, and he's to update the court with his new mailing address within 30 days of being released. no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. And his next court date is going to be December 17th. Thank you. Mr. Murphy, you represent the cross-defendant Marquez Dixon.
That's correct.
All right. Marquez Dixon on the battery family violence, that's going to be 2,500. Signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. No further contact with Tyquavius Shroud. He may return to McClellan Avenue, and he'll need to make sure that he reports to pretrial once a month and doesn't get arrested again. Otherwise, his signature bond will disappear.
Duly noted, Judge. I did interview him, and I did tell him that the price tag that's associated with SOB is in lieu of making sure you behave yourself, and otherwise you'd have to make that bond. That will agree to that, Judge. He does reside with the mother. He is gainfully employed at Publix. This is the first time he's ever been arrested for anything, and we will comply with the terms of the bond of no further contact with Mr. Stroud.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Next case, please.
We'll go with add-on number 1, Mr. Hall. Hall.
Cedric Hall, is that correct? This is State versus Cedric Hall, accused of willful obstruction of an officer and criminal trespass from December 2nd of this year. Accusation 24 CR 7945G. Mr. Hall, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Wills.
Fifth arrest. You got open simple battery out of state court. Previous arrests were dismissed. It was an arson and ag assault charge.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from December the 2nd at about 10:25 in the evening. Police were called to the Stanton package store at 2057 Stanton Road in East Point. It was reported that the defendant was on scene and was refusing to leave. Police made contact with the security there at the location, Jesse Walton, who reported that he'd repeatedly been asked to leave and refused to leave that day. Officer Langley from East Point spoke to the defendant, detained the defendant. The defendant is described as refusing to cooperate, refusing to follow verbal commands, including wouldn't put his arms behind his back, pulled his arms away from the officer. And that's the basis for the obstruction charge, Your Honor. Obviously, the criminal trespass is because he, for some reason, just didn't want to leave the package store when directed to do so, and police had to be called. He does have an open simple battery family violence that I believe is in the trial division from 2020, I believe. It's 21 CR 004 981G. We're asking for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor. Stay away from the Stanton package store at 2057 Stanton Road, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
Ms. Wills?
Your Honor, in light of Mr. Hall's very limited criminal history, I would request a signature bond. I was able to confirm his address. He is currently unemployed at this time and will qualify for our services. Just given the nature of the charges and the nature of the conversation I had with Mr. Hall, I did request that a social worker go out and speak with him.
Okay.
I did forget to mention that he had a firearm magazine hanging out of his pants when he was refusing to leave the liquor store and encountered police.
No, thank you. On the willful obstruction of an officer, that's going to be $1,000 signature bond through the jail. On the criminal trespass, is $1,000 surety. It's a $2,000 split bond. Next court date is going to be December 17th. To stay 200 yards away from the Stanton package store at 2057 Stanton Road in East Point, Georgia. No illegal drugs, definitely no alcoholic beverages, no weapons, and no firearms. Mr. Hall, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say about the facts of the case, your statements can and will be used against you. If you choose to waive your right to remain silent, you will need to indicate so. Courtroom 2, please unmute.
Though everything you said was not on my citation, most of the things you said was new to me.
And then I wasn't even found on the package store place. I was at the store across the street. So how did I get a criminal trespassing? And yeah, I don't understand. I'm sorry.
Your attorney will read the warrant out to you and give you better understanding. Thank you.
Oh, sit right there in the pin. Sit in the chair. Next, we'll go with position number 4, Mr. Jenkins.
Number 4. Ellis, this is Tate versus Ellis Rufus Jenkins, accused of giving false information to an officer and willful obstruction of an officer from December 3rd, 2024. Accusation 24 CR 7930E. Mr. Jenkins has been advised of his rights. His attorney is Ms. Wills, and understand he's got 33 cycles. Anything to add, Mr. Howard?
Probation for ag assault. 21 SC 179579. 2020 FTA 19 probation. 17 ag battery conviction. 17 battery conviction. And 2011 domestic abuse battery conviction.
Thank you. Ms. Mulcahy?
Yes, Your Honor. I have that the incident location is 3580 Cascade Road in Atlanta. Officers observed the defendant and a woman rolling an unknown substance in a paper at the incident location. They asked both parties for their identifying information, and the defendant gave the false name of Terry Brown and false date of birth of May 31st, 1995. The defendant then proceeded to run away from officers. After a foot pursuit, he was eventually apprehended, and it was discovered by officers that he had an active warrant out of Fulton County. The state's recommendation is a $1,000 surety bond, $500 on each count. Given his FTA and the fact that he attempted to flee from officers, there is a concern that he will not respond to court proceedings. Stay away from the incident location. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Your Honor, I would request a signature bond. As it was stated, Mr. Jenkins is unable to even bond himself out due to his other charges. He has been a resident of Georgia for the past 9 years. He reports that he is a line cook at Applebee's. He's been doing that for the past 6 or 7 months. He does have some college. He is also married with 6 children. And so again, we were asking that he be given the opportunity that whenever he is able to be released, that he is able to be released and support his family and go back to work.
Mr. Jenkins, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. Courtroom 2, please unmute. Would you like to exercise your right to remain silent?
I would give that right up at this moment just to say I do apologize, Your Honor, for any inconvenience that this may have caused. All I can do is give my word that I will show.
You understand you have a bench warrant right now and that you cannot be released until you've addressed that in the other case.
Ma'am, me and my wife, we are in process of addressing that now.
Okay.
As she stated, I do work at Applebee's as a line cook and a chef, and which is very hard to get a job. I mean, I'm trying to.
I cannot release you on the bench warrant. That's a different matter.
No, I understand that, but I mean, at least to have the you know, I can't get the words out right now.
Signature bond?
Yes,
Mr. Jenkins, I've already made that request, okay? So you don't need to say anything else unless you have something new to add.
I was just saying that would help enough.
Oh, well, unfortunately, you've got 33 arrest cycles and you've got a bench warrant in the last 5 years, and the law has changed with regards to granting of signature bonds. So you don't qualify for one at the present time. It's going to be 500 on each count. Your total bond is 1,000. It is a surety bond, and to stay away from 3580 Cascade Road. Well, I guess must have been something I said. Okay. Next court date is December 17th.
Next, we have position number 5, Mr. Jones.
Nathan Jones is accused of pointing or aiming a gun or pistol at another in criminal trespass causing damage to property. Accusation 24 CR 7938J. This is an incident from September 24th, 2024. Ms. Jones, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Wills. I understand these are 12 cycles, and I also understand he's got an open case, 23 CP 220399. Anything else, Mr. Howard?
So possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, 2018 FTA probation, 2018 battery conviction, 2015 battery DV conviction. That's it.
Ms. Mulcahy?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred at the Carl M. Williams Funeral Home located at 492 Larkin Street. The victim in this case is Satara Jones, who is the defendant's sister. The parties were at the incident location to pay respects to their late father when the defendant began fighting with the party's other brother, Anthony Jones. During the fight, Anthony's gun fell out of his backpack and the defendant picked it up and pointed it at the victim. Anthony was able to get the gun away from the defendant, and the defendant proceeded to run up to the victim, scream at her, spit in her face, and said that he was ready to die. He then smashed the victim's window by throwing a bottle at it. Our office has had a chance to speak with the victim, Ms. Satara Jones, who confirmed the events in the warrant, stated the defendant has been a problem all his life. He is dangerous and hostile, and that she is afraid of him. She says that since the incident, the defendant has reached out to her via Facebook and other family members to threaten her. He said the defendant called her job at Emory University and got her suspended. She wants absolutely no contact with the defendant and wants him to stay away from her residence, which is 2700 East College Avenue, and stay away from her job at Emory University. The state's recommendation is a $9,000 surety bond on the pointing pistol, $1,000 surety bond on the criminal trespass. So we're asking for a total $10,000 surety bond, given his history and the fact that he has an open case. And we're also concerned that he will potentially intimidate this witness, as he has already been threatening her. Stay away from the incident location, stay away from the victim's residence, stay away from the victim's job, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. We did try to get this upgraded to a felony, but our request was denied. We are going to ask that the court sound for the victim in this case, Ms. Satara Jones.
I have a Jesse Jones on Zoom, but I don't.
I'm sorry.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Hold on.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now, Judge?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. My phone is up under my grandmother's name and account. It's in my grandmother's name, but I am Satara Jones. My grandmother is.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you agree with the prosecutor's assessment for the case? You can put your hand up.
I agree that I don't want no contact with Nathan Jones. I agree that he is a problem as a threat. I agree that I am very, very, very afraid of him. And I agree that I do not, Judge, and I beg you, do not allow this man to get out. He's a threat. He's a problem. And I am afraid for my life.
Thank you. You may mute your screen, please. Thank you. Ms. Wills?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Jones is a native of Atlanta. He reports that he works for himself doing home improvement work. He will qualify for our services. He does have 5 children. Mr. Jones states that he had no contact with his sister prior to this incident, that they had not had contact. He did not know where she lived or resides, and that they've continued to not have contact. He does deny the allegations as alleged. As it was stated, his father had recently passed away and perhaps emotions were high, but he does deny that there was any sort of physical altercation. He states that it was actually his sister who tried to run him over outside of the funeral home. He's concerned that Ms. Jones has mental health issues. He also states that she had filed a TPO that was dismissed because she failed to appear, I believe, but that is by his report. Mr. Jones further states that he was his dad's caretaker prior to his passing. And so I would request a signature bond. If Your Honor is not so inclined, I would ask for as low a bond as possible.
On the pointing or aiming a gun at another, that's going to be a $2,000 cash bond only. On the criminal trespass causing damage to property, that's a $500 cash bond only. This is a $2,500 cash bond only. No further contact with Satara Jones. No further contact with Anthony Jones. Stay away from Miss Jones and Mr. Anthony Jones' residences, as well as stay away from Emory University. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. Mr. Nathan Jones, you have a right to remain silent. I highly recommend you exercise it, considering that this is now another case involving a firearm in addition to your felony case. Anything you choose to say can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case.
Your Honor, the TPO was served on the defendant. There was a final hearing on November the 6th, and it's listed as open.
All right, thank you. Next court date for Mr. Jones is December 17th.
Next, we have position number 6, Mr. Miller.
Letheo Miller is accused of battery family violence from May 22nd, 2024, case 24 CR 79318. Mr. Miller, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Ms. Wills, and I understand this is his first arrest. Ms. Mukeke?
Yes, Your Honor. I have that the incident location is 1634 Hollywood Road Northwest in Atlanta. The victim in this case is Jerniah Duffy. She shares a child with the defendant. The defendant is accused of striking the victim, causing her to fall and hit her head on the floor after she told the defendant that she no longer wanted to continue their relationship after finding out that he was married. The victim did sustain bruising to her chest, neck, and head. Our office has had a chance to speak with Ms. Duffy, who states that her and the defendant are not in a relationship. They do not live together. They do share that one child. She confirmed the events in the warrant, stated the incident location is her residence. She states nothing like this has ever happened before. Her and the defendant have been communicating through the defendant's mother and his wife. She states that they have not had any issues since this incident, and she no longer wishes to press charges and that she would like no violent contact. The defendant has called the victim since he's been incarcerated. They discuss him getting a bond and the money to get him out. She tells him that this was one situation that happened, and he tells her that she can't let them know that she is his baby mother, and she should say that she's just his ex. But she tells him that they already know that he is the father of her child. He also tells her that he's charged with family violence because they live together. And she says that she told us that they don't live together, and he tells her that they're going to call tomorrow and that she needs to answer. And he just continues to ask for help to get out of jail and tells her that she can file an affidavit to help him. Given that this is his first arrest, we would be okay with a signature bond. However, we would ask for absolutely no contact with this victim. There is a concern because it seems like this defendant is trying to coach the victim on what to say. We would ask for a stay away from the incident location, that he do an FBIP, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. I would ask the court to sound for Ms. Jerniah Duffy.
Ms. Duffy, if you want to contribute to the proceeding, you need to unmute and start your video.
Yes.
All right, good. Lift your device in front of you so I don't see your chin. Okay. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right. Do you share a child with Mr. Letheo Miller?
Yes, I do.
All right. And do y'all live together?
No, we don't.
Okay. And have you opened a child support case with respect to collecting child support?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Has Mr. Miller filed a legitimation action?
No.
Okay. What else would you like to tell me?
We actually don't stay together, but he do come by, but we actually don't live together.
That is the fact that you both have a child together makes it domestic violence.
Yes, I knew, but I just wanted to drop out of church because we actually don't live together, and he actually do good with the child and take care of the child.
Anything about the incident from May 2024?
No.
Nothing to add?
No.
Okay. Ms. Wills?
Your Honor, Mr. Miller has resided in the state of Georgia for the past 7 years. He reports that he does live at a separate residence from Ms. Duffy with his wife. He also has 5 children. Currently, he is unemployed, so he will qualify for our services. He does have a high school diploma. He states that, he denies the allegation, also states the allegations, excuse me. And he also states that any altercation that happened, he did respond out of self-defense. Up until this time, or since May, I guess, when this incident happened, my client reports that he and Ms. Duffy have gone through third parties for visitation with the child. And so in light of this incident happening back in May, and I do understand that the court may have some concerns given the conversation that my client had with Ms. Duffy, but this incident did happen back in May. I am requesting a signature bond, Your Honor. Thank you.
A bond is set at $3,500. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. No further contact with Janiyah Duffy. No contact with the child that he shares with Ms. Duffy until he files a legitimation action and obtains a superior court order to establish visitation, joint custody, if he wants it, as well as child support or any other issues that the legitimation action will address. He's to enroll and complete a 26-week domestic violence intervention program. And he will enroll in that program, show proof of enrollment before by his second visit with pretrial. So he has 30 days to enroll in such a program, and he will attend each class at his own expense without skipping any classes. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. And we will see him at his next court date. So please make sure we have a good address on him at all times. Thank you.
Next, we have position number 8, Mr. Primus.
This is State Mrs. Gervais Valentino Primus, 24 CR 7933C. Mr. Primus is accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property and 2 counts of battery family violence from December 3rd, 2024. Mr. Primus, you've been advised of your rights and your attorney is Ms. Wills. Any priors?
8th arrest. 2022 sale of marijuana. 2021 carrying concealed weapon on person conviction. And a 2015 DUI conviction.
Thank you. Ms. McKay?
I had that he had a 2021 ag assault conviction, which he received first offender on. I have a case number of 22 SC 184623.
I'm sorry, 4623?
Yes, 4623.
Okay. Go ahead.
This incident occurred at 710 Peachtree Street, Northeast Atlanta. The victim in this case is Marvina Mack. She had been living with the defendant since July of 2023. Officers arrived at the location and observed the victim, who had a swollen lip that had a laceration, as well as a large laceration on her ankle. The victim stated that she had come to the location to retrieve her belongings when the defendant started throwing her items in the hallway. She stated that she was getting her items from the hallway when the defendant grabbed her and proceeded to drag her back into the apartment, which is what caused the laceration on her ankle. Officers did note in the warrant that there was a substantial amount of blood in the apartment hallway. The victim also stated that the defendant had her in a headlock and she had to bite his arm in order for him to let her go. Officers stated that they could tell the victim was distraught and afraid to talk about the physical abuse, as she stated she didn't want to get the defendant in trouble. The victim also told officers that her and the defendant had been in this situation numerous times before, and the defendant is also accused of breaking the victim's phone by throwing it on the ground. Our office has had a chance to speak with Ms. Mack, who states her and the defendant are in a relationship and they live together and they share no children. She stated the incident location is the defendant's residence and she was staying with him. She states that the information in the warrant is not correct. She denies the defendant dragged her back into the apartment. She states that she scraped her foot against the door frame and that the defendant never struck her. She states the injury to her lip happened from an accident on on the previous Saturday, and she believed that she bit her lip. She states the defendant never broke her phone. She hasn't seen her phone since Saturday, and she only called the police so they could help escort her to get her belongings from the residence. She never wanted the defendant to go to jail. She's not afraid of him and wants to continue contact. She says she has since left the residence and is staying with family. The state's recommendation
Go ahead.
is a $1,500 surety bond on each count of battery, a $500 surety bond on the criminal trespass, no further contact with the victim, an FVIP, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. Based on the information in the warrant and our conversation with the victim, we are concerned that the defendant will try to intimidate the victim, and we want to ensure that she remains safe and she's not caught in a cycle of violence with this defendant, as something did happen the day of the incident, and the police did note substantial injuries on her person. Our office would ask the court to sound for Miss Marvina Mack.
Miss Mack?
Hello.
Hello. Miss Mack, if you'd like to raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right. What would you like to tell us?
Okay, so basically, like I don't know, this is Miss Iman who I spoke with earlier, but like I said, the whole situation was like fabricated and exaggerated the warrant that I guess the police report, because when they came, they said that my stuff was already in the hallway. We had no issue. I had called him 7 o'clock. I was like, I'm on the way to the house. I end up getting there at like 1 o'clock in the morning. He wasn't there. So I called him. I'm like, where you at? Boom. He came off the elevator. We walked into the house. He had no idea that I was about to leave. He probably just thought I was about to go in, whatever. I went and grabbed my stuff and he was like, what you doing? And I'm like, okay, I'm just about to leave. And then the situation just was like, I have a mannequin head, like a bunch of, like the bag that I grabbed was like my makeup bag and all that. So he just grabbed my mannequin head, threw it in the hallway. So I was like, okay, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Like, I know this just random. I was like, I'm gonna just call the police. And when they got there, my makeup bag was.
Sorry, what is random?
No, it was random, like me going back to the house because we were already like in a situation of like breaking up and I was moving out. But at the same time, where I came back to where I'm at now at my people's house where I was living before I started living there, I couldn't get in touch with them. So I was staying there still, just waiting. And then Monday came, I got in touch with them later on that night. So they was like, yeah, we left the door open for you. We haven't heard from you because I haven't had my phone. So, okay, later that night, me and him had already discussed, okay, we're moving on. I was already gone. I came back to the house. He came to meet me and I grabbed my stuff and he didn't know where I was going. Like, what are you doing? It's 1:30 in the morning. And it was just a situation like that. And I went and grabbed my laptop. When the police got there, the stuff was, I let the stuff stay out there or whatever, just so everything could be calm. When the police got there, I just let them know. I said, it ain't no issue. I just want to get my stuff and be escorted out. When they came in the house, they did see blood because they asked, like, do you stay here? What's going on? They saw blood. I scraped my foot on the back a little bit because I didn't have on shoes. I was like barefoot at the time because I had on sandals. I took them off. So that's how my foot got scraped in the back and the blood just trailed through the house like that. And then she said my lip was busted. My lip is not busted, a situation. So it was like, it was just so much. And I'm like, I never wanted for nobody to go to jail. That's why I kept telling the police time at the time, but they just looked at the situation of the blood and my foot and the stuff in the hallway. So they just like, okay, he's gonna go to jail. And yeah, so now it's like, it's kind of complicated because his apartment is there. I don't have the key. I do have his iPad. I've been talking to his brother and his niece and his sister and stuff. I don't know if he communicated with them.
Are you planning to return to that location?
No, I already got all my stuff out. Like my stuff is here. I packed, all my stuff was already packed.
Have anything to do with that location?
No, I mean, I do because I've been staying there. But no, I do have some stuff still, yeah.
Stop. Do you have anything else at the location?
Well, my birthday is on the 18th, so I was just ordering a bunch of.
Not responsive to my question.
Oh, well, no, other than that, all my stuff is out the location, like besides like new stuff that coming in. But I spoke with the people at the leasing office. I let them know he got arrested and I let them know I didn't have a key to make sure the apartment is okay. So yeah, but I don't have anything else there, no ma'am.
All right. So you understand that your conversations with the officer at the scene are all on body cam.
Right.
And if the officer and the body cam says something different from what you're saying, would that be possible?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay then, thank you. Please mute your screen. Ms.
Okay.
Will?
Your Honor, Mr. Primus has been a resident of Georgia off and on for the past 20 years, but most recently he's been here for the past 2 years straight. As it was stated, that is his apartment, and Ms. Mack no longer resides there. My client does have a high school diploma as well as 3 years of college. He is currently unemployed. He was working on some self-employment businesses prior to his arrest. My client does deny the allegations as stated. And Ms. Mack is also stating, I mean, she has recanted her story. I would just ask that he be allowed to return home with a signature bond at this time.
Mr. Primus just took a felony plea just over a year ago, and he's on probation. And yet he gets involved with another situation which doesn't look good for him on his record. On the criminal trespass is going to be 1,000. On each count of battery family violence is going to be 1,500. That's a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 2. He'll be required to do a domestic violence intervention program within 30 days of being released. I didn't see that on his sentence from his felony case. So within 30 days of being released, he will enroll and complete a 26-week domestic violence intervention program, and to make sure that he attends all classes and at his expense, and provide the certificate to his pretrial officer. He has to report to pretrial twice a month. He's to have no further contact with Marvina Mack. He's to stay 200 yards away from her and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. He may return to his lodgings at 710 Peachtree Street, and since Miss Marvin has already vacated the premises, there's no reason for her to return to that location. Mr. Primus, this point onwards, you're to have no contact with her. You're not to celebrate her birthday with her. You're to stay 200 yards away from her and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. If the authorities get wind that you have attempted to reach out to her to try to resolve this case in your favor, there's a possibility that your signature bond can be revoked and you remain in jail without a bond, if there's any indication you're trying to intimidate a witness. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you.
Yes, ma'am. I know you said that I have to do the classes and it's under my money, but I know as attorney has stated, I have 5 kids and I'm currently unemployed. Is there any way that I can go to free communities?
Yes, there is a way. You need to get a job.
Yes, ma'am. I'm purchasing a box truck this week to start working for Amazon. That is my plan.
Exactly. Make sure you set money aside to pay for the domestic violence program.
Thank you, John. You have a great day. And then also, she has my iPad. So how am I supposed to get my belongings from her if I can't communicate with her?
You can return it to your brother.
My family's in South Carolina. I have no one else here.
Then he has to mail it to you.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
If she doesn't mail it to you within 30 days, after this case is resolved, you can sue her for the fair market value of the iPad. Thank you.
This per judge.
Next, we have positions 9 and 10. Mr. Robertson.
This is State versus Orlando Robinson. Mr. Robinson has got 2 open cases with the state court today. 24 CR 7925C, in which he's accused of 2 counts of battery family violence from July 23rd, 2024. Second case is 24 CR 7926C, in which he's accused of battery family violence and simple battery family violence from May 6, 2024. Mr. Robinson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Ms. Wills, and I understand he's got 33 arrest cycles. Anything?
They got an open case in state court for simple battery, DV. Got a bench warrant as well.
Thank you. That's good. Miss Allen, yes?
Thank you, Your Honor. That open case is 24 CR 002297C. The victim is the same victim in the 2 cases that are on the calendar today. He has a $2,500 SOB through pretrial, and has been ordered to have no violent contact with Mrs. Cheryl Brown. He's also ordered to stay away from the location 899 Park Street Southwest. That's the location of the two incidences on the docket today. So he's in violation of that bond. I also believe he failed to appear for court on that case. So there are multiple reasons why there might be an issue there. Position number 9 on the docket is from July the 23rd, as you said. Police responded to the 899 Park Street Southwest location where they spoke to Mrs. Brown. She reported that the defendant came to the location. He struck her in the arm with her cane, causing a knot on her forearm, and then kicked her. She had a laceration on her leg. She called 911. The defendant went into the bathroom and refused to leave her residence, but eventually she was able to force him out of the home. The position number 10 from May 6th of 2024, police again were called. It's Unit 203, I believe. They're at 899 Park Street. They met with, again, the victim in this case, Mrs. Cheryl Brown. She reported that she cares for her handicapped brother. She is reluctant to leave her handicapped brother alone. Although police told her to get medical care after this incident in May, she didn't want to leave her brother alone. She said that the defendant and she are married. They don't live together, but he comes over often, which again is a violation of his current bond. She said that they engaged in a verbal altercation. He assaulted her when he grabbed her and shoved her and slapped her in the face. She had bruising on her arms, and he had fled before police arrived. So the defendant has had warrants for these two incidences out since the last incident in July. He currently has that open case. That was an issue, a bond, Your Honor, that you issued in April of 2024, because that open case is just from April. So he was released on bond April the 26th, or given that bond order April the 26th of 2024. And then these two cases occurred May the 6th and July the 23rd. So this is the third battery assault on Mrs. Brown in this year. We're asking for a $6,000 surety bond total, so 3 on each of the cases. Absolutely no contact with Ms. Brown, to stay away from that location as he's already been ordered to do so. 899 Park Street Southwest, number 203. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
Is Miss Cheryl Brown on Zoom? If she wants to contribute, she needs to unmute and start a video.
We did try to reach her today, but we're not successful, Your Honor. We'll continue those efforts.
All right, thank you. Ms. Wills?
Your Honor, Mr. Robinson he is 61 years old. He's been in Georgia for approximately the past 53 years. As it was stated, Mr. Robinson no longer lives at 899 Park Street Southwest. He understands he cannot return there, although he remains married to the alleged victim in this case. He does deny the allegations, and was unaware of the second charge that's from May. He is currently unemployed and receives assistance, so he would be unable to afford any sort of bond. And I am requesting a signature bond, but I understand the concerns with the continued contact.
In his prior open case, 24 CR 002297C, Ms. Allen, if you can submit a proposed order, the signature bond for pretrial is surrendered and amended to a 2,500 surety bond. No contact with Cheryl Brown, and stay away from 899 Park Street, Northwest Atlanta. His court date is with Judge Dixon in that case on December 12th, 2024 at 9 a.m. No, it's with me. Does he already have a SAP date of December 12th?
Hold on, I'll look.
I guess. I'm not sure, but he's got a court date on December 12th. All right, Ms. Champion, is this case reset to an SAP calendar next Thursday?
I'm checking right now, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I guess it must be because of the FTA.
Yes, that's correct.
I
Okay,
believe so.
all right.
These cases will follow that case that's on the 12th.
All right. So on each count of both cases is going to be $1,000 surety. On position 9 is going to be a $2,000 surety. On position 10 is going to be $1,000 each. There's a $2,000 surety. Reset date is December 12th to follow the older case 24 CR 002297C along with the FTA 24 FTA 001887C. Mr. Robinson, you're not allowed to have any contact with Cheryl Brown. That includes no phone calls from the jail to Ms. Brown. And you have to stay 200 yards away from 899 Park Street in Northwest Atlanta. As a result of your bench warrant and also as a result of being arrested today, your signature bond is surrendered. You would have to pay in order to be released. And currently, the total amount that you would have to pay would be $6,500. Either pay that out of your own pocket or through a bonding company. Thank you.
So pretrial had already stopped supervising him.
Okay. Who's next?
Position number 17, Mr. Sakri. Okay.
This is State versus Eddie James Secret, accused of battery and criminal trespass from November 3rd, 2024. Case is 24 CR 7941Y. Mr. Circuit, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. And I understand that Mr. Secret has 40 cycles and an open theft by shoplifting. Anything else to add?
On probation. Battery, simple battery, ag assault, 2 counts. Forsyth County. Last arrest was in November for the shoplifting. 2024 probation. 2023 FTA. 2021 parole violation.
That's good. Thank you. Ms. McCord?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from November the 3rd, 2024. The location is a parking garage at 999 Peachtree Street Northeast. The defendant is known to the security guard there. His name, he's also the victim, is Tygo Morias. It's Tiago, first name, last name Moreas. He reports that the defendant is known to him. He comes to the location frequently. He usually has a crowbar in his possession or something that looks like a harpoon. On the date in question, the 3rd of November, the defendant was seen interacting with someone else at the location. The defendant saw the security guard and started yelling at him, making threats. He then threw his crowbar down and approached the security guard, striking him twice in the face. This was captured on video. Mr. Moraes was seen to have redness and bruising to the temple portion of his face as a result of being struck multiple times. We're requesting a $4,000 cash bond, Your Honor. Absolutely no contact with Mr. Moraes. Stay away from the location there, the parking garage at 999 Peachtree Street Northeast, and we'd request a mental health evaluation, please.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, my client is 37. He has gone through, well, he in high school, after high school, he got his GED. He works at a warehouse and he works in landscaping, Your Honor. He's lived in Georgia all his life. He does acknowledge that he does have that arrest history. He would ask the court to set as low a bond as possible, including a signature bond if that is possible. But if not, a surety bond of a low amount.
On the battery, it's going to be $2,500. The trespass is $1,000. Total bond is $3,500. That's a surety bond. No further contact with Mr. Moria. Stay 200 yards away from the entire complex referred to as 999 Peachtree Street, including his parking garages, sidewalks, parking lots, and all other, at least keep a 200-yard radius from that location. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and next court date is December 17th. Thank you.
Next, we have position number 13, Mr. Stevens.
Mr. Michael Stevens is accused of battery, family violence, criminal trespass causing damage to property, 2 counts. That's a total of 3 misdemeanor charges from December 3rd of this year under accusation 24 CR 79351. Mr. Stevens, you've been advised of your rights. Your attorney is Mr. McLean. I understand this is his 4th arrest. He's got an open probation.
Aggravated assault 24 SC 001 837. Got another one. 2 counts of ag assault, criminal attempt to commit a felony, 3 counts. Possession of tools, 16 SC 141781. That's it.
All right, thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from December the 3rd. Police were called to 2980, excuse me, Middleton Road Northwest. There they met with the victim. Her name is Janisha Pruitt, Janeshia. She reported that her live-in boyfriend had assaulted her. Following an argument, he became upset when he got access to her cell phone and started reading through her messages. She was actually at work at the time. When she got home around 6 o'clock that evening, he began punching holes in the walls and breaking doors. He broke her phone after he took it from her, and then he struck her in the head with one of the bedroom doors there at the location. She was seen to be bleeding from an area above her right eyebrow. Officers tried to locate the defendant when they went to Unit 223. He answered the door. Blood was seen on his hoodie, corroborating the assault. He refused to cooperate, saying things like, "Whatever she said, I did it." He was detained. After providing a very detailed statement and being very upset on scene, reporting what had just happened, the victim then recanted, said she didn't want him to go to jail because he just got out of jail and she didn't want to ruin his life. The defendant was noted to be smelling of alcohol as well. He is just under sentence for an aggravated assault in 24 SC 001837. That disposition date is November the 15th, 2024. That in that case, it's alleged that he shot at a victim in front of their 3 children. He actually shot at his sister's husband while 3 children were present. He's got an aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during the commission, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon or first offender in that case. So he's under sentence. We're asking for a $6,000 cash bond. This defendant literally went days after taking a plea in an aggravated assault before he assaulted someone that he lives with. We're asking for a $6,000 cash bond, absolutely no contact with Ms. Pruitt, to stay away from the location there at 2980 Middleton Road, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Based on the Ayala factors, Your Honor, the victim literally on scene recanted after giving a very detailed statement. She was injured and bleeding from her head. The risk to reoffend is high. The risk to intimidate is high, and the safety of the victim and any children she may have is also an issue for us. He broke her phone, interfered with her possession of it, became angry. These are all very typical and cyclical domestic violence indicators, Your Honor. And that's the reason for our request. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, Mr. Stevens was pretty forthright, and he acknowledges the arrest cycles and court consequences that the state has mentioned here. He does ask the court to nonetheless consider as low a bond as possible. I don't think it would be realistic to think of a signature bond, but we would ask for a lower surety bond if possible, Your Honor. The client is 27, Mr. Stevens is 27 years old, and he has worked at, I might flip over here. He has worked at the airport in janitorial work. He's worked at some apartments He's also done work for his uncle in landscaping. So he's been working for years and years. He's gone fairly far in high school, 11th grade, and can get his GED in the future. So he shows promise there. He's lived in Georgia all his life and asked the court to have as low a bond as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. On the battery family violence, that's going to be $5,000. The criminal trespass is $1,000 each. It's a $7,000 surety. Next court date is December 17th. No further contact with Janisha Pruitt. Stay away from wherever she happens to live. If she lives at 2980 Middleton Road in Atlanta, Georgia, then we'll need to stay away from that location. We'll need to update the court with his new address within 30 days if he has an alternative address. And no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Next court date is December 17th.
Thank you.
Position number 14, Mr. Steele.
Okay. This is Kentavis Stills, 24 CR 79348, accused of 2 counts of simple battery family violence from December 3rd, 2024. This is Mr. Stills' first arrest cycle. You've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from yesterday, the 3rd of December. At about 11 a.m., police were called to 1935 Allison Court Southwest. There they met with the victim, Coriana Williams. Her name is spelled Coreaonna. She reported that she and the defendant lived together and shared children. During an argument, he struck her with a belt, and this caused scratches on her neck. As a result, he then grabbed her by the neck during this argument. We have tried to be in touch and get communication started with the victim today, Your Honor, but have not been successful. We did leave her some messages and we'll continue those efforts. We're asking for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial, no contact with Ms. Williams, to stay away from the location there at Allison Court, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Any objection with the no contact and stay away, Mr. McLean?
No, Your Honor, no objection. Thank you.
All right. On each count is going to be $1,500. Total bond is $3,000. And that's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services level 2. No further contact with Coriana Williams. And if she lives at Allison Court, then he needs to stay away from 1935 Allison Court in Atlanta, Georgia. He's allowed a one-time visit to remove his personal belongings. That visit must be with a police officer. Within 30 days of being released, he must update the court with his new mailing address. Within 30 days of being released, he is also to enroll in a domestic violence intervention program. That's a 26-week program, and he will begin those classes at his expense and not skip any classes either. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and he's to report twice a month. Failure to comply with these conditions can result, or if he gets arrested again, can result in the signature bond being revoked and amended to a cash bond or a surety bond. Thank you.
Position number 19, Mr. Jeremiah White.
Okay. This is State versus Jeremiah White, accused of battery, family violence, and cruelty in the 3rd degree from December 2nd of this year. Mr. White, his case is 24 CR 7936G. He's been advised of his rights. His attorney is Mr. McLean, and I understand this is his 3rd arrest cycle. Anything to add, Mr. Howard?
Last arrest was in October, simple battery. 2019 armed robbery. Possession of a knife or firearm during the commission. Possession of a pistol revolver under 18.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Mulcahy?
Yes, Your Honor. I have that this incident location is 2380 DeLoe Drive in East Point. The victim in this case is Ms. Nakaya Hunter. The defendant is accused of punching the victim and pushing her out of the vehicle. Officers did observe that the victim had a knot in her head. The parties share a minor child with the initials JW, who was present in the vehicle and did witness the battery that occurred. After the victim took the minor child out of the car, the defendant proceeded to drive off. The defendant then apparently also called officers regarding the incident and admitted to pushing the victim out of the vehicle because she refused to get out. He stated that the victim was injured because she fell out of the vehicle dramatically. The defendant told officers that the victim threatened to run him over and said that she was going to call the police. Due to the injuries on the victim, officers arrested the defendant and they found a Glock 17 in the defendant's vehicle. Our office has had a chance to speak with Ms. Hunter, who says her and the defendant are in a relationship. They do not live together. They share one child, and she is currently 7 months pregnant. She states the incident location is her residence. She confirmed the events in the warrant, but stated that she was not injured during this incident. She says that she doesn't want to pursue charges, and she states nothing like this has ever happened before. She is not in fear of the defendant and wants to continue contact for their children. She is okay with the defendant coming to her residence. The state's recommendation, given the fact that this defendant was just arrested a little over a month ago for a violent offense, is a $1,500 surety bond on the battery, a $500 surety bond on the cruelty to children, no further contact with this victim at this time, stay away from the victim's residence, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol, and that he take an FEIP.
Where was this prior arrest?
It was out of Clayton County.
Okay. Thank you.
I would ask down for the victim.
Oh, yeah, sorry. That would be Zakiah Hunter. If you are present, this will be the time to unmute and start your video. All right, Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, I may have had a little trouble. I got all the other PSAs, but for some reason, that prior arrest that was more recent, was that a simple battery?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, given that it was a misdemeanor and did not there was no allegation that left a mark, so that indicates the force or severity of what he's alleged to have done on that date recently, and the age of anything else that's older, anything else in his arrest cycles, we would ask the court to consider a signature bond. And if that's not possible, then to consider a $1,000 surety bond. My client is 22. He's been through the 10th grade. He has worked for a half a year in food services at the Treehouse. I'm not sure what business that is, but it's after that he worked at DHL in transportation for about a year and a half. He's also worked at DoorDash and Roadie, which is food transportation by car, and that's also a year and a half, Your Honor. So he's quite industrious. We would ask the court to consider a break on that bond. Thank you.
All right. Miss Zakiah Hunter, if you would like to address the court, you need to put the child away from the camera. And you need to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please lower the device so we can see you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you want to say anything, you need to raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Do you live with Mr. White?
No.
What would you like to tell us?
I would just drop it considering the fact that he is good with his children and that I am finna go into labor with the second child. It's not, I just wanted to drop it. That was it.
And who's the father of the second child?
He is.
Okay. Thank you so much. You may mute your screen, please.
Okay.
Mr. McLean, as you understand that the decision to drop these charges is not with the alleged victim, it's always with the prosecutor's office. Courtroom
Right.
2, please unmute. Mr. White, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case.
Well, that's fine, Judge. I just wanted to say,
Mr. White, were you thinking of waiving your right to remain silent? I would not recommend that at all, Mr. White. If I were you, I would stop talking now. Do you understand from my tone of voice how strongly I feel that's true. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Maybe I should have you say all the rights the next time when we do these calendars in that tone. All right. Mr. White, my greatest concern is that you've already been released on some kind of bond from Clayton County on a violent offense. And I don't even know whether the ink is dry on the paper, and now you're arrested on another violent offense. And my other concern is that the state has only charged you with battery, family violence, and yet the evidence is patently clear from the record today that this is a battery against a pregnant woman, which makes it a little bit more egregious than just battery family violence. On the battery family violence, I think the state should be considering an amendment to the charge. The bond is going to be set at $3,500, and that's going to be a surety bond. On the cruelty in the third degree, that's going to be $1,000 surety bond. Your total bond is $4,500. It is a surety bond. You have to have no further contact with Zakiah Hunter. If you wish to have any kind of joint custody or visitation with Miss Hunter's, with the children you share with Miss Hunter, you will have to file a legitimation action and get a Superior Court order to establish joint visitation, custody, and child support. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and definitely no weapons and no firearms. You're not allowed to own any firearms. They're not to be on your person, in your vehicle, in any vehicle or home that you occupy, and definitely not within your reach. Your next court date is going to be December 17th. Thank you. Next case, please.
Position number 18 is a medical reset.
Okay, position 18 is a medical reset to tomorrow, December 4th at 2 p.m. And do we have another case?
No, Your Honor, I think that may be it.
Okay.
But tomorrow's date will be December the 5th.
Oh, December 5th. So is it already the 4th? I'm losing track of time. Okay, sorry about that. It's December 5th. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So on position number 1, we have a $2,000 surety bond for Ms. Dawson. Reset date is December 17th. Position 2, Dixon's a $2,500 signature bond for pretrial level 1. Position 3 is a $1,500 signature bond through the jail. Position 4 is a $1,000 surety. Reset is December 17th. Position 5 is a $2,500 cash bond. Reset date is December 17th. Position 6 is a $3,500 signature bond through pretrial level 1 and FDIP requirement. Position 7 is a $9,000 split bond. Resets December 17th. Position 8, Primus, is a $4,000 signature bond for pretrial level 2 with the FBIT requirement. Position 9 is a $2,000 surety. 10 is a $2,000 surety. Reset December 12th, along with 24 CR 002297C, in which the signature bonds for pretrial is surrendered. Position 11, Shadisha Robinson, is a $2,500 signature bond for pretrial level 1. Position 12, Chantel, what was the last name again? Moran, okay. So it's April Chantel or April Chantel Moran. That's a $1,100 signature bond through the jail. 13, Stevens, is a $7,000 surety bond. Reset December 17. 14, Stills, is a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. 15, Strother is a $1,000 surety bond. Reset December 17. 16, Stroud is a $7,500 surety bond. Reset December 17. Position 17 is a $3,500 surety bond. Reset December 17. 18 is a medical reset to December 5th. 19, White is a $4,500 surety bond. Reset December 17th. Position 20, Williams, is a $1,500 signature bond to pretrial level 1. Add-on position 1 is a $1,000, no, excuse me, a $2,000 surety bond. No, $2,000 split bond. Count 1's a signature bond through the jail. Count 2's a surety, and that's reset to December 17th. And position 2, Weber, is a $2,000 signature bond to pretrial. No further contact. Any corrections?
That's it.
All right. Okay, folks, I will see y'all tomorrow, SAP. Some of you are lucky enough to be with me. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
And I'm
Thank you,
sending
John.
the amended bond order now on Robinson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms.
Mhm.
Bridgewater and Ms. Champion, I'll send it to you all too.
You can send it to me and I'll forward it to the judge.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.